where you want it.
Bay 12, please.
Hello there, Transformers fans, and welcome back to another Bay 12 video review. And today we are reviewing the new Transformers IDW 2-pack Rise of Tyranny. And this is part of this year's set of Amazon exclusive figures as part of the Transformers Legacy Evolution line. Last year we had the Wreck and Rule collection as part of the Transformers Legacy line. And this year, Hasbro has moved on to IDW comic book universe characters, and I am all for it because, as I've talked about lots of times in the past, I am a big fan of the IDW comic universe, more so the first one than the second one. The second universe isn't bad, and while it wasn't as great as their first universe, it definitely had a lot of potential and room to grow, but we'll never know because that's done now. So anyway, here is the packaging. You have Senator Ratbat and Minor Megatron. There's some awesome artwork of those guys. On the side, you can see Senator Shockwave, or at least part of Senator Shockwave. On this side, you've got the Legacy Evolution banner artwork. On the back, you have images of the figures and their accessories. And before we're done with the packaging, there is one more really cool feature to show off, and that's right here on this inner flap. You have Senator Ratbat's insignia right there, which I like how it still kind of resembles the Decepticon insignia. And then you have the Rise insignia right there as well, which I don't recall a version of the Rise insignia being in that IDW comic book universe. I don't recall the Decepticons having that version of their insignia either in that comic book universe. So if somebody else remembers, please feel free to throw that in the comments for me. But I think it's kind of interesting that they went with the Rise insignia. Like, it's a cool Easter egg still. Yes, Megatron was still a minor in the other IDW comic book universe, but the Rise wasn't a thing in the IDW comic book universe that this particular Megatron hails from. So okay, it's still cool. It's still a cool little Easter egg, but at the same time, like, not exactly accurate to this Megatron, although I still get what they were going for, and I still appreciate it. And here they are out of the packaging, and they look very, very awesome. If you guys haven't figured out with me by now, I am all for repaints and retools and some slight remolding, so long as the figure turns out good and looks somewhat accurate to the source material, which these two are pretty close. Megatron more than Ratbat, but these two are pretty close and they both look really good. Between the two 2-packs, as much as I am looking forward to the Orion Pax and Senator Shockwave 2-pack, this 2-pack was the one I was most excited about. Not so much because of Senator Ratbat, but because of Minor Megatron. I've talked about it in the past, and the IDW universe depiction of Megatron is my #1 favorite portrayal of Megatron. I feel like they got his personality the most, and just the way they brought his character full circle by the end of that universe was just so well done. And I like the Little Generations Minor Megatron figure we got almost 10 years ago, or actually I think it was exactly 10 years ago. It was around 2013, I think. And yeah, that was neat, but I don't really collect Legends scale. I prefer the regular mainline scaling of Transformers personally, so finally having a good mainline full-scale Minor Megatron is really, really awesome and exciting for me. So I was already very excited about this figure the second it was announced. This one was an instant, I have to have it. Have to have it. It wasn't even a, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get this one. I'm looking forward to it, but this is just the next piece in the collection. This figure I was truly, truly excited for, and turned out great. And as you can see, they did use the Siege mold yet again, which, refer to my previous statement. If it looks good and it works, I'm all for it. And this looks good in my opinion, and I think it works. So I'm all for it. They did an awesome job. I love the drill, the arm-mounted drill right there. He comes with his pickaxe as well, which is very cool. And I like that you can even plug it into various places. I kind of like to plug it on like that, so it resembles that G1 look of having the wrist-mounted weapon and the barrel hanging up over there. And then, of course, he can also wield his axe like so. It also disassembles, and so does his drill weapon. And you can combine his pieces into one really cool big mining weapon. And yeah, I dig it. It's really cool. It looks cool. This Megatron looks cool. I love the detail, the new head sculpt. He's got the little mining stripes there on his chest and shoulders. There are no insignias whatsoever because this is before Decepticons were even a thing. So there shouldn't be any insignias anywhere, and I'm so glad that there aren't, because this Megatron should not have an insignia on him, and I love that. Real quick, for comparison, here we have Megatron from his humble beginnings in the IDW universe versus his ending form in the IDW universe. And you can see them side by side, and it looks awesome. Again, like I said, full circle. He went from a humble guy who was toiling away and wanted better for himself and those around him to a washed up tyrant who came back to his core values in his life and wanted to go back to being a gentler soul and redeem all of the things and atrocities he committed. And again, really cool. I could really go on all day about IDW Megatron and how much I truly love this character and what they did with him. But we also have Ratbat to talk about. Transformation is just like the Siege Megatron mold. We're going to first take off his accessories. We're going to fold in his fists. Then we are going to untab these shoulder sections here, free this whole section up, push the head in a little bit, bring this up, untab the treads, bring this section down, fold it in at an angle, and then it's going to line up with those little peg holes right there. And then we're going to push this section up all the way. Before we do anything with the arms, we're going to rotate his waist all the way around. Then we're going to come over here to the arms, just bring those like that for right now, and then we'll do the mining drill part after the legs. So, come to the legs. We're going to bring down this section, bring up the hip, bring down the knee on the side, and then rotate that whole section in, close that gap back up, and then peg it into the side of the waist there. Fold in that heel, bring that foot down. Do the same thing over here. Bring that down, bring that up, fold that knee to the side, fold that in, fold that up, peg it on, fold that in, bring that down. Now for this section right here. It's a little different because you don't have a fusion cannon to plug in between there to fill out that gap and then put a sword in there to make an extra long tank barrel. This isn't a tank. This is a drilling vehicle, okay? So next what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece of the pickaxe and we are going to plug it in right here like so. And then we're going to bring the arms back apart. This piece right here is going to peg in to the side of his shoulders. And it should look like this when you're finished. And then just take the head of the pickaxe and just plug it on somewhere, or plug it into a different spot where you think it would look cool. But that's how it looks, and yeah, it's a pretty cool looking mining vehicle. I don't recall seeing Megatron in his alt mode very much, if at all, while he was a miner. So the alt mode isn't really that important here, but it's still very cool. Now for Senator Ratbat. Senator Ratbat actually looks very good. Aside from the wings, and this was pretty much the similar issue with the use of the sweeps mold for Alpha Trion, he's actually fairly comic book accurate. Really, the wings are the biggest thing that are inaccurate about this figure. And he's another character where we didn't really see him in this form transform very much. So again, the alt mode here isn't too terribly important with this figure since we didn't really see him transform much, if at all, from what I recall in the IDW comics. And they absolutely nailed the face sculpt. That face sculpt is pretty much perfect. The shoulders have been remolded to be more comic book accurate, as has the chest. The arms weren't particularly inaccurate like this. He did have very similar looking arms. The legs aren't as accurate, and then again, having the sweeps wings backpack wasn't too terribly accurate either. He mostly had this kind of torso-like structure and then had a like cape-like section as well, much like Alpha Trion, actually. Another good comparison between the two, which is maybe why they chose to use this sweeps mold to do Senator Ratbat. Now, it's not the first time a Senator Ratbat has been released. Takara did do an IDW-based Senator Ratbat as well in the Warriors Unite line, I think it was. And they also reused the current sweeps mold of that time, which was the Generations sweeps mold, which transformed into a stealth bomber. And not a bad mold either. This is definitely an improvement from that figure release because this is just, in general, a better mold. And plus, if we're going for an old Cybertronian Senator look, this is better suited, I think, than the stealth bomber look anyway. Now, much like we did for Megatron, here is Senator Ratbat after he became a cassette. And yeah, this one is the data disc version from the Generations line, but this robot mode is actually pretty fairly accurate to how he looked in his final days in the IDW comics, where he was assassinated in the Robots in Disguise title going on in that universe at the time by RC, which was very cool. So here's how he started and here's how he ended, unfortunately for him. And yes, it is the same Ratbat you're thinking of. In the IDW comics, in the early days of the Autobot Decepticon War, as a fitting punishment for a corrupt politician who helped create such a tyrant such as Megatron, hence Rise of Tyranny 2-pack, Soundwave came and transferred his mind and spark into the body of the cassette little Ratbat that we all know and love since Generation 1. Overall, not a bad figure. Same articulation as the other sweeps figure molds, and of course the Alpha Trion figure that we got last year. And transformation is also much the same. What we're going to do is we're going to start by pulling his wings out like so, and then bring him back like this so they're a little bit out of the way. Next, we're going to grab his arms, bring them out to the side, and untab that shoulder section like so. Do the same thing over here, bring that down all the way to the side of his leg. Next, we're going to take his legs here, we're going to peg them together. We're going to fold in that heel spur, and then we're going to fold in the front of the foot. Next, we're going to, with this tab in his forearm to the side of his leg, like so, securing that whole section. Now we're going to come over here to the side, bring those wings out, grab this back section, and pull this all out. Next, we're going to extend that, bring that little cover up, which is going to help keep his head in place while he's in his alt mode. And then there's two little tabs. Those are going to tab into that section right there. And then we're going to pull this out right here, which can be a little tricky. It does tend to get stuck from time to time. What you can do is you can use that blaster that he comes with to kind of dig it out for you. And it's the same blaster that Scourge and the Sweeps comes with, just cast in a purple plastic. Unfold that front section right there. cover his face. And then we're going to bring these two half sections together on those double hinge joints, tab them together there on the front, and bring these other sections back, flip out these little bits, do the same thing over here, flip out that little bit, bring it down, and then tab that into the side, cover up that little gap right there, tab that into the side, cover up that little gap right there, bring up the little engines right here, fold in the wings on the bottom, and there is Senator Ratbat in his spaceboat mode, much like Alpha Trion and Scourge and the Sweeps. And overall, he doesn't look bad like this. Again, we didn't really see Senator Ratbat in his alt mode while he was a full-size regular Cybertronian. We really only saw him in his very regal, senator-y looking robot mode. And I love that right there on the cover you can see his crest as well. That looks really cool. Overall, it's a pretty good solid remold, and the two of these figures look really, really cool side by side. Like I said, a pretty awesome 2-pack with two pretty awesome characters, and I'm very excited for the other 2-pack as well. I think this was pretty creative reuses of what was already some pretty cool molds, but there are a lot of other really cool molds, Hasbro, that you guys have put out over the past couple of years as well. So why don't we start reusing some of those a little bit more too, right? I mean, why not? Anyway, if it works, it works, and I think it works this time. What are some IDW characters you hope to see Hasbro put out in the future, and which version of Megatron from the IDW comic book universe is your favorite? I really hope we get a full-scale stealth bomber Megatron to go along with the minor Megatron, the Autobot Megatron, just a good larger scale update to the 30th anniversary IDW Megatron would be really, really nice, and it would definitely need to be leader class scale in my opinion. Like I said, comment below your suggestions. Stay tuned for more. Stay tuned for the other 2-pack featuring Orion Pax and Senator Shockwave. Let us know who you're excited to see in the future, and like and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you're looking for cool Transformers figures and merch, come by our store. It's inside Order 66 Multiverse in the shops at Willow Bend Mall in Plano, Texas. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. Transform and roll out.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.